today, hearing my story, learning about me, and allowing me to share my story with you all. You know, I know that we're all a villain in someone's story, and I know I'm a villain in someone's story. Someone is a villain in my story, but it all works together. It all works for the greater purpose and the serving that God has on your life and the calling God has on your life. Today has been an adventure in its own, just preparing for this moment to allow myself to be on camera in an authentic way to share my story. I'm originally from Opelousas, Louisiana, small country town. I was raised by my maternal grandmother, Mary Taylor, rest in peace. And she has instilled so many good characteristics in me in regards to integrity, hardworking, alongside both my parents. I actually grew up with both parents up to the age of 5. I grew up in an abusive household. That's just the way my mom and dad showed their love for one another until, you know, it wasn't love. I've never been in an abusive relationship, thank God, but I always just felt sorry or the heart for women who had to experience that, because I know it's not easy to get away. And to see women go through physical abuse, mental abuse, and not having an outlet, and no one really understands. But once you are free and able to get out, you can just see life more clear and what God has for you. So kudos to my mom, who took initiative to leave, to get out in an environment that was no longer serving us. She took I've been exposed to another way of living. I was exposed that my dreams could come true, and just continue to move forward and have faith and know that God has something greater for me. I didn't know at the time what it was. I didn't know that I would be sitting here today sharing my story, but He did. So I just thank Him in advance for continuing to paving the way and guiding me. I'm ready for myself to get worked out. Perfect. Sharing my life story, sharing the history, and sharing why I decided not to look back but to keep going, because the women that were being attached to me. Starting Women with Vision and Purpose in my mother's living room with 5 to 7 women, through mimosas and brunch, vision board, Mary Kay facials, and just having a good time. You know, our first event was very intimate. It was very loving. We did things, we shared stories, and then we were able to walk away not knowing that this was being birthed. Fast forward, I put it down. I decided not to work on the vision, not to become a woman with vision and purpose, until God was like, hey, I need you to pick this up. I need you to go out here and share your story with other women. And I need you to be okay in who I created you to be, and to use your gifts and to share with the world what it is to become a woman with vision and purpose. Our founding foundation scripture is Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision and make it plain, so people who see it can run with it. You know, I've always been a person to initiate things. I've always been a person to put myself out there in regards to the things that I want, in regards to living my dreams, so people who are around me can hold me accountable for those things. So Women with Vision and Purpose is a networking platform where women from all over, all nationalities, can discover their core strength in the entrepreneurial world. We provide seminars, workshops, we provide ministry and marketplace events. Stay tuned. We are having I Am Capable of Winning Women's Conference December 2nd here in Houston, Texas. But I just love the fact that I can use my gifts. I can bring women together, bring them on a platform to where they can be themselves, they can share their story, be comfortable in sharing their story, and know that we all need one another. We all need each other's story to get through the next phase in our life, and to be a pioneer, to do it scared, to be unapologetic, and knowing that, hey, there's some things that I messed up, but I can't change those things. I can continue to move forward and become a, not perfectionist, but just become better. become better at the gift, become better at bringing women together, become better at sewing, become better at listening, become better at being a valued person to individuals around me and in my community. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you all tune into these series of Don't Look Back. Whatever it is that you're facing in life, continue to move forward in spite of whatever is happening in your life, whether it's negative. Of course, if it's positive, continue to continue to push forward and not look back. Continue to share your story, and then continue just to connect with the individuals that God has connected you with. And you will be hearing from other women on how they have not looked back, decided to move forward, decided to keep going in spite of challenges in life. You can follow us online at WWWVP.online, Facebook and Instagram, Women with Vision and Purpose. And just stay tuned, stay locked in. This will be a place to where we can all come together and fellowship and just share our stories and love on one another. Stay tuned for what we have next.
At Purpose Driven Women Academy, we ignite purpose in every stride of your entrepreneurial journey. Join a community where faith meets business excellence. Empower yourself with expert-led courses, mentorship, and resources. Transform your vision into reality. Join us and become a part of a thriving network of purpose-driven women. Experience growth, experience empowerment. Join Purpose Driven Women Academy today at www.pdwacademy.com.
Hi, my name is Brandy LeJay. Last name is Davis as well. I want to say I am excited to be on to tell my story of the Don't Look Back. I'm 40 years old. I'm a mother of a 12-year-old, my son. And just to give you guys a little bit of my background, I grew up in a single parent home. My mother raised me and my brother in a home together. And so I would say that I had an awesome mother. She was great. I mean, I would say that I'm spoiled, but she nurtured me. She taught me so much and so forth. I did grow up with no father figure, but I also had a stepdad that was also present to take on the role to be that father figure in my life. I'm currently out of Houston, Texas. I've been here all my life. This is my hometown on the south side of Houston. But currently reside on the north, but I love my south side. And so just growing up, I would say that I attended Fundra Middle School. I went to Westbury and I graduated from Gulf Shores in 2022. I also want to say that as growing up and going through life, there was a lot of challenges, a lot of trials, a lot of tribulations, a lot of mistakes that I made growing up, just being outside in the world, doing everything up under the sun that you can think of, really having not that guidance because I was missing the father figure. And so as I talk more, we'll get into how I've been a survivor of many things throughout my life. But I also would want to just be stuck on, I would say the bad things. I want to talk about the accomplishments and things that I have accomplished in my life as well. I did start a business last year, which is called BFF Fashions. And I would say that I think I did phenomenal. I did good. I love fashion. I love dressing. I just love it, And so I did stop and take a break for a while, but I am relaunching back in February. So I'm excited about that in February 2024. And I do believe to just go ahead and just push forward through it because it is my passion. It is something that I love to do. I'm also a certified Christian counselor as well. I would say that I got my certificate certified. It has been probably over 3 years now. And so I love with my certified counselor, I love the fact that I can help people, I can push them, I can pray with them, I can empower them, because I do realize is that I'm not the only one that has been going through what I have gone through my life. I believe that what I go through is always to help somebody else. And so I also am a certified life coach as well. And so my certified life coach, which is I have a DBA, it's called the Revive Me Academy, because I say I'm the Revive Me coach, because I live by the principle that stop existing existing and start living. And so I help and empower women, empower men to just empower people to that they can be revived again, that they can be restored, and that they can live and they don't have to just exist. Because I knew it was a point of time in my life that I just felt like I was just existing, but I really wasn't fully living the way that God desired for me to live. And so I also have that as a life coach as well. I want to get into a little bit of my background and things that I have encountered and went through in my life. I am a survivor of domestic violence. I'm not only just a survivor of one time, but I'm a survivor of 2 times of going through a domestic violence. And so going through these domestic violence situations, I would say I dealt with fear. Going through these domestic violence situations, I would say that, it was a very scary situation, because sometimes you don't know if you're going to make it out. And when you have to deal with the emotional abuse, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, it can really do something to you as a person. But the thing that I love the most about it is that I did make it out. I believe when I went through this domestic violence situation the last time, being having a gun to my head, pleading for my life to please do not kill me, let me live. I think that was the moment that, I don't know, it shook me. It kind of shifted me a bit. And so I never thought that I would be in a place where I would have to beg for my life. I never thought that I would have to be in a place where I had to humble myself in that way, to plead with someone to please do not kill me. I think I just had a flashback of my life of like, oh my God, seeing a gun barrel and looking at the person in their eyes and pleading with them. I think everything flashed before me. And so coming out of that situation and dealing with the physical of the choking and the beatings and the cursings and so forth. And, some people may ask, why did you stay? And so it wasn't that I stayed because not only dealing with fear, I stayed because I had to have a plan. It wasn't that I stayed because I wanted to try to work it out. It wasn't that I stayed because I believed that he would change. No, I stayed because I had to have a plan of escape. And so a lot of times, some people stay for multiple reasons, but my reason was that, Lord, how I need you to help me get out of this situation. How do I get out of this? So that's why I stayed, because it's not that easy just to walk away, because you don't know that anytime that you're dealing with any domestic violence person, rejection and abandonment is the strongest spirit that they're battling with. So you can't just say I'm leaving. It has to have a plan, because 9 times out of 10 they're going to want to fight you. They may try to kill you. And so I did whatever I need to do to make the peace, but I knew all along I was trying to make a move. What I would say to anyone in any domestic violence situation is really do not look back. If you made it out, if you know that you're out of it, don't look back. You are not the victim, you're victorious. And so a lot of times women do go back. Sometimes a lot of women do say, well, I'm gonna give it another chance. I encourage you to not look back, because you have to understand your life is at stake. Other people's life is at stake. And I have a child at that moment. My child's life is at stake as well. Dealing with domestic violence, I would say that some of the signs are not always there. And so in the beginning, I didn't see these things. I didn't. I just didn't see them. And so as progressing through that relationship, things start to uncover, things start to show. And so, yeah, I ignored, like, okay, well, you know what? I'm a probably, shake this one off. Maybe he's just having a bad day, but it started getting worse and worse and worse. And so now that I've made it out, now that I'm not in that relationship anymore and I'm better and I'm not bitter, I will tell anyone and encourage myself that, Brandy, don't you look back. You did what was best for you. You did what was best for your child. You did what was best for the next woman that needs to hear that, hey, I cannot look back. I will not go back into that. Even I've dealt with going through divorce as well. In some situations, I dealt with infidelity in my marriage. I've been married more than once. And so I dealt with infidelity in my marriage. And sometimes I questioned what was wrong with me. And so, after getting a divorce, at times I did want to feel like I want to go back to my ex-husband, but I had to tell myself, once the door is closed, just don't go back. Just look back. Don't look back. We have to move forward. We have to focus what's in front of us. I mean, even dealing with, I have even went through rape it's well, and all these things that I went through in my life, I've always just said, why me? But I started to realize that as I began to grow and as I began to go through these things in life, why not me? Because if it was not me, you wouldn't be able to hear me today to tell my story of how I made it out. There may be someone that's listening right now. There may be someone that wants to understand, okay, well, how do I make it out? How do I get out? You always have to have a plan. First I would say pray. You have to have prayer. I believe everything that I made it out was by the grace of God. It was prayer. It was straight prayer, because anyone that knows me, I'm very private. I didn't talk to anyone about the things I was going through. I didn't share the things because I was scared. I didn't want to be judged and so forth. But it took prayer. I prayed and I said, Lord, give me a way of escape. And so I'm a firm believer that God would do it for you just as well as he done it for me. And so I encourage you on today. I pray that I helped you, and in my testimony of sharing that, don't you look back. You are better. You are a woman, a victorious woman. You're a woman. You're beautifully and wonderfully made, and that what's behind you is behind you. What's ahead of you, keep moving, keep going forward, because there's always the best is yet to come.
Hi, I'm Tadori Williams, and I've been an entrepreneur since 2005. Just a little bit about me. I'm from Connecticut, born and raised in Connecticut. I'm number 9 of 10 children, so I come from a big family. Growing up, I never really knew what I wanted to do, but I'd always, if I was asked, I would say I want to be a teacher. So I kept it as I grew up, and I went through high school, graduated. And then when I moved to Houston in 2000 or 2001 or 2002, one of those years, I moved to Houston and I got married in 2002. The birth of my daughter was really where I was like, okay, what do I want to do? She was born in 2003, and I was like, what do I want to do? I knew that I wanted to be able to be home with her, but yet I wanted to be able to work because that was always in me. So I guess in my mind, I remembered, I wanted to be a teacher. So with the help of a close friend, I opened my own license in home daycare. And I care for children. And within that structure, I was able to teach something that I always wanted to do. So I became like a preschool teacher within the home daycare. And I ran that all the way up to 2020. That was 15 years. And I noticed, the 15 years that I did it, the only reason I closed it was when COVID came. So I closed it, and that put me in a situation where, like, okay, what am I going to do now? But just to back up a little bit, I had a daughter in 2003, and then later my son in 2008. So I ran all the way up to the point where they went to school. So when 2020 hit, when COVID came, I was at a standstill. I didn't know what to do, but it was always instilled in me growing up. Like I said, number 9 of 10. One thing my father always told me that is go for it. Never give up, and know what you're worth and go for whatever that you have set in you. Because I come from a family of go-getters. We don't back down. We don't sit down. We don't give up even when it looks like can't do it. That's just within me. So once COVID came and I had to close down that business, I took on the venture of becoming, I started my cleaning and organizing business. So that has gone very well for me. Even throughout my adventure of being a in-home childcare director, there has been times when it would get difficult and, enrollment wasn't up, or I wasn't always getting the encouragement from the people around me. I would hear, get a real job or do this, do that. So I just dig within me, and from what I learned growing up, and I just kept going. So even when it was difficult and the challenges came, somehow I just heard like the voice saying, hey, you're not going to give up. You're not a quitter. You know your worth, your value. So keep going. So from here on out, I became, I would meet other people that would say, hey, what advice would you give for someone trying to be an entrepreneur. And the advice that I would tell them is, if it's in you, if it's your passion, and when you go to sleep at night, even though you hear like the negative in you saying, hey, don't give up, don't give up. But when it's in you so deep and you can't rest because it's something that you know that's possible, go for it. Now, I will say that it's never always going to be easy. There's going to be times where you're going to have to tell yourself, I don't think I can do it. I want to quit. There may be times when you may, just be by yourself and say, and all the discouragement that you get, it may just get to you on some days where you're just like, I don't think I'm going to make it. Maybe I'll just quit. But then there's the other side of you that's like, no, and I would also say that you have to surround yourself with positive people that, even if it's just one person on your bad day, if it's just one person that you turn to, just feed on that. And on the flip side to that is, even when you're going through it, be that one person for someone else. And so for me, even though, the things that I've gone through, coming from a large family of Connecticut, being a number 9 of 10, and sometimes feeling like, because I'm the younger sibling of the family, that I can't do certain things because I depend on my older siblings. But, even in my darkest moment when things were difficult and I was going through it, I was able to be a positive influence for somebody else. And they would say, well, Story, how do you do it? Like, when we see you, you smile all the time. And my answer to that was, life is not easy, but it's what you make it. And I go back to my biggest inspiration in life. And if people ask me who was that, I would say it was my dad, because despite everything that he went through, he never gave up. He never quit. He was a fighter, like, always. And so I guess that's instilled in me. And even though, sometimes it's not easy for people to take it, like, why are you so stubborn? I don't know that I call it stubborn. Maybe it's just like motivation, or maybe it's just that get up and get it no matter what. So I say all this to say, throughout my journey as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as a wife, just as a person, it's just, people will say life is short, but life is really what you make it and how you live it. And so if I were to, also ask, what is my biggest inspiration and what is like a biggest accomplishment that I have, I would say being a mom. Not only that, it's like you're a mom every day. Even in the moments when you want to quit and you want to give up, you look back and you realize that there's people that depend on you, and from the time they were younger to the time that they're, I'm a mom of a 15 and 19-year-old. The challenges, there's challenges, but I give all the credit, like, for the reason why I started my journey as an entrepreneur, even though it was hard, is because of them, because I wanted to be able to be home to, when my children were younger, to give my time and attention to them. So sacrifice, I sacrificed a lot, but I know that there's been benefits to it. So I'm really grateful for that. So now I have my cleaning business. I am also known as Styles by Chidori, where I have my accessories, hand painting, and I design my earrings. And I just get up every day and make it what it is, make something positive. And each day I say, life is a beautiful thing. To be able to get up every day, to have life, breath, and to just get up and see the sun, it's a blessing. So every day when I get up, I try to find something positive in every day and just think of, what can I do today to be positive, to be a light, and to help somebody else if I can. And that's just what I do. So I don't know, it's a lot. So like I said, I'm from Connecticut. I'm in Texas now. I've been here 20 years. I'm a full-time entrepreneur. Is it easy? No. Do I want to give up? Absolutely not. Am I going to keep going? Yes. So for anybody that's looking for encouragement, or, that's what I would say to them. Never give up on your dream. Never give up on yourself. keep the positive thoughts flowing, and always just get up and be a go-getter, because that's what it's all about when something is in you that you want to do. The possibilities are endless.
Melanated Minds bring together men and women on a melanated minds journey to embrace self-love and empowerment through understanding and taking care of their mind, body, and soul. Melanated Minds is an exclusive community that uplifts and supports one another. The network made for us. Join the Melanated Minds Network today.
Miss Danielle Hall, aka Passion the Lioness. I am from Fort Worth, Texas. Ooh, ooh. All right, so today we're going to talk about Don't Look Back. I am extremely excited about doing this because life has so many challenges, right? I'm just going to discuss a few of my challenges. From the age of 8 to 12, I was raped and beaten by my stepdad. I grew up in a household that was, my stepdad, he was pretty, abusive, not only to myself, but to my mother. She was a hardworking woman, so she was pretty much always gone at work, trying to provide a lifestyle for us. So most of the time I stayed with my stepdad. This man was like my father, my stepdad. He was supposed to adopt me. He was supposed to love me, somebody that I grew up with as a baby, since I was 2, So of course I didn't understand why someone who was supposed to love me would hurt me, harm me in such a way, Um, I didn't understand why my mom stayed. But as I grew up, I kind of understand now. Um, as a young person, I used to say, I'll never be like that. I'll never allow a man to do me that way. And of course, life happens. And I began to start not seeing the value in myself, right? Looking for love in all the wrong places. Sex just became like a thing to do. It wasn't something that I cherished. I just felt like, well, this is what they want, so this is what I'm going to give them. Um, I didn't feel like I was enough. I felt like I always had to go above and beyond for everyone else. I very rarely received what I gave, and so that left me feeling empty. There's many a times where I thought about just ending it all. I did try to commit suicide when I was about 18 years old. Uh, Life just became too heavy for me. Like, I'm only one person. Like, I began to question God, like, why do I have to go through all of these things, right? Like, what did I do so bad that I'm going through these bad things, or I'm not worthy of love? But I want to tell you that it's rarely ever something that you did. Sometimes life happens, and you got to take the good with the bad and choose to use your trials and tribulations to help somebody else. You can't get a testimony without a test. So I just want to encourage someone that has been going through things or had been through things as a child that's still struggling to find your way through life. This is not the end. It's only just a part of your story. Um, I want to share a poem titled Me. Me. Who am I? I don't even know me. I used to know me. Now I'm acting unusual and slowly. Like the rain, here it goes again. All the pain is making me go insane. See, I've been waiting on another to complete me. What I have to find is in my heart very deeply. I don't think I could take another to leave. I just need someone to believe, see me. Huh. My love never cost it, but people lies always bought them. You see me? Huh. I'm a cute, fine, breezy, but people don't see me. They see someone I try to be. Me. Who is that? I have to reverse my mind like a Cadillac sitting way back sipping on a drink. Hold up. I still got to think. Because even though I'm thrilled, I still don't know me. So I go to the past. I have a couple of laughs, cry, waste time, think about my old crimes and face my fears and drop some tears. And well, once I do that, that's when I find me. And all my family and friends will see that Danielle is the real person I want to be. Like Muhammad Ali, I fly like a butterfly and I sing like a bee. I'm just so happy that I found me. Okay, let's talk about that. How many of us really know who we are? Have we took the time to realize what we like and not what everyone else like? Are we people pleasers? Do we just try to fit in just to feel like we're a part of something? I used to be that person. I used to feel like, well, it doesn't matter if I like it. If I'm around and they like it, I like it too. No, it's okay to be you. It's okay to do things that you like, even if you have to do it alone. Find what makes you you. Find what makes you happy. You are worth it. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of people that generally care about you and want to see you prosper. Give yourself the love that you give everybody else. And I just want to say that I love you and I know that you will overcome your struggles too. Oh man, God is so good. He has brought me a mighty long way. So why would I look back on the things that made me so sad? I'm trying to move forward. I'm trying to progress. Why stay stuck in a dark place? So don't look back. Even when you get down, take a moment, breathe, get yourself together, pray, meditate, even if you just have to have a moment of silence or get your favorite treat. Do something that makes you happy, something that makes you feel good on the inside. As long as it's not hurting anyone, baby, live your best life, honey. Yes. I want to close out with this. Perception. This is a piece that I wrote some time ago. The song, I'm not scared of lions and tigers and bears keeps on playing in my head, but when I wake up, reality hits me when I get out of the bed. See, no one knows my trials and tribulations. They just look at me and my messed up reputation. My body is aching, painful and cold. Step into my face if you think you're bold. I once heard the term that just because your dreams didn't come true doesn't mean that you can mess up mine. I simply say, leave me alone because I don't need you wasting my time. See, I once thought I was a dime, but my heart said, forget that. You got your own shine. Look at me. Try to define my life. See if you can find the answers anywhere. I'm sick of all the stares of people talking about me everywhere. But then again, I look at the brighter picture. Every story has two sides, so the real me I won't hide. Yes, I'm a plus size woman and I cried at night, putting up a fight because I don't want other people to judge my life. Yeah, that's right. Beautiful girl just need to lose that weight is what they would say. I see they fake smile. They thought they ruined my day. But like my girl Monique says, I'm plump like a roast and thicker than most. That's my motto. And I walk around happy, like I won a lotto. I remove what they say, 'cause I'd rather eat good than have nothing on my plate. Society makes you want to give up like you don't belong. I say, forget that. I have a purpose, so I'ma stay strong. Continue to eat my bread and meat because, well, losing weight won't make me feel complete. The more the poem is, be you. 'Cause society is based on one, not you and the rest of your views.
Empower your brand. Achieve success. Visit www.bym.services.
Hello, my name is Shannon Mondor, and I want to share my story of how I chose to not look back. And the reason that I want to say chose is because we all have a choice in life. And it took me 50 years to make that choice to never, ever look back and to continue to the life that I have today. So I want to share that with you. So going back, this is actually even before I was born. Addiction ran in my family. I myself personally we are in the fourth generation of addiction within my family. The addiction started with my father. I don't know if my grandfather or my great-grandfather, any of them had an addiction, but I know that it started with my father. He ended up committing suicide when I was about 2.5 years old. But prior to him committing suicide, he was extremely abusive. He suffered mental illness, and he abused all of my brothers and sisters. I am the youngest of 8 children, and I have a half brother. And he also abused my mother. The 2 individuals that took the brunt of his abuse was my oldest brother and my mother. So when my father committed suicide, what had happened was my oldest brother actually replaced my father in every aspect. He helped to raise us younger children, which were still at home with my mother. What he also continued to do is he actually continued to abuse us at home as well. So I grew up in an environment which was full of fear, hostility, anxiety. And I can remember growing up as a child, whenever my brother came over, I would just be fearful the whole time. So having anxiety and fear was something that was very, very normal to me. I didn't know any different. I can remember walking by him and I would flinch. I would be in fight or flight because I knew that he was either going to slap me upside the head, push me into a wall, he would throw me down on the floor. Another thing that he would do too is I had Barbie dolls and dolls. And back then, like I'm 54 years old now. Back then, there wasn't a lot of choice. And we were not a wealthy family at all, like not at all. So those were my treasures. And there was not one doll or one Barbie doll that I had that he did not wreck it completely. There was no limbs, there was no head. He would write genitals all over it and nasty words, and he would just laugh about it. And this was the type of environment that I grew up in. I can remember eating an ice cream cone. And can you imagine as a child eating an ice cream cone? And that's one thing. There's so many little things in your life that are full of joy. And I can remember eating my ice cream cones, and he would walk by me and he would smush my face into the ice cream cone. And then he would just laugh. And these were the normal things that I was brought up with. Well, of course, I grew to dislike him very, very much, to the point that it pretty much destroyed my own life because I let those feelings and emotions take over me. I also grew up to dislike my mother very much as well, because she didn't give me a safe environment to grow up in. She never protected me. She never said no to my brother either. So the abuse just continued, and actually continued all through my childhood years, then into my adolescent years. And then that's where the problems really start to unfold once I get into my 20s and 30s. But once I got into my adolescent years, and we all know that those years are extremely, extremely impressionable because, you know, you're getting into your teenage years now. So my brother always told me that I was dumb, I was stupid, I was never going to amount to anything. I was an idiot. I was good for nothing. So when I got into my teenage years, I truly, truly believed that about myself. I would look at myself in the mirror and I would say, God, how ugly I am. I didn't like myself. I was so full of shame. The shame was unbearable because I disliked my family so much because I felt like they did not protect me in any way. I was the baby. I hated my last name. And I grew up in a small town, so everybody knew our family history. Everybody knew that my father was an alcoholic and he was abusive. Everybody knew that my brothers, how they made a name for themselves because they were so full of unworthiness just as much as I did. So how they proved themselves was they fought. So my brothers had a reputation of being fighters in our community. So people would say to me, oh, are you such and such's daughter, or are you such and such's sister? And I would be yes. And I disliked that so much when they would ask me that, because I know what was going to come after that. Because they would look at me and they would judge me. And I always felt that I had to prove myself because I was not like the rest of my brothers and sisters. So when I got into my grade 12 year, looking back now, I had major chronic depression back then. I can remember being in my grade 12 year and I could not stay awake. I was so tired all the time. There was just so many signs of it. But back then in 1987, depression was not talked about, of course. But the biggest thing too is people, there wasn't a lot of research either, like what there is now. And I can remember my grade 12 years, while I had no dreams, no goals, no nothing. I couldn't even see a future for myself. And I can remember sitting in my brother's car in the garage. And I can remember saying to myself, would anybody even realize how much I'm hurting? Or would anybody even care if I turned the car on and if I killed myself? Because I felt like nobody cared about me. Nobody. So I know what it's like to be alone, to not have a friend to turn to. I know what it feels like to not be loved. I've been where so many of you are. So what ended up happening in my grade 12 years, I ended up not graduating. I had taken on the identity at this time, what my brother had instilled into me, that I was dumb, that I was stupid. And I truly believed it. And I tried my damnedest to graduate, but my depression was so bad. I couldn't even barely stay awake. I did complete my grade 12, but I did not graduate. And it was literally 2 days after I was done high school, I was out of there. That was when I decided I was going to run from my name. I was going to run from my family. I was going to run from my past. So when I got into my 20s and 30s, what I did is I basically became a people pleaser. I got addicted to that. Because I wanted people to like me. I wanted people to not let me be alone. So I conformed to what everybody wanted me to be. So I played all these different roles. And then once I got into my late 30s, by this time I had already been with my husband. I conformed to what he wanted me to be. His family wanted me to be. And I totally lost who I was. And I had taken on the identity that everybody wanted me to be. So when I got into my late 30s and into my early 40s, that's when I started to drink alcohol a lot. Because throughout the years, I had built all these resentments inside me, and I started to suppress my feelings. And then when I got to be about 43 years old, that was when I crashed and burned. Because I couldn't take it anymore. And what had happened was, when you suppress all those memories and those feelings and emotions for that many years, it's going to come out. It's going to come out some form. And it was at that point that the alcohol was no longer numbing what was happening within inside of me, and I didn't even know what was going on. So my body started to give me signs, and I started to have triggers. I started having triggers when I was about 43 years old of my childhood. Now, the thing was with my triggers is I did not know, or these visions, is I did not know whether they were real or not. So what I ended up doing was I ended up going insane, because every waking moment, all I could hear or all I could see were these flashbacks that was happening. And I couldn't tell anybody because I didn't know if they were real or not. I didn't know if anybody would believe me. And that's all I could think about every waking moment. Are they real or aren't they real? Am I going crazy? Or whatever it was. So what I ended up doing is I started to numb the pain by drinking alcohol. I'm 120 pounds and I'm 5'1", and I was up to drinking 6 bottles of wine a day. I would get up in the morning and I would start drinking right away because all of these flashbacks would kick in. So I would get my kids ready for school. I was already drinking. I would make their lunch. By this time, I would probably have a bottle of wine under my belt. I would drive them to school. I would come home and I would drink from about 9:15 until about noon. Then I would pass out. Then I would pass out till about 2:30 or 3 when I knew my kids were coming home, and I would set my alarm. Then I would run them with their sports. Then I would make them supper, and then I would start drinking at supper time. And then I would end up passing out. And this was a cycle that I did over and over and over until it got to the point where I literally couldn't even get out of bed. Then what ended up happening was I ended up going to a treatment center, and that was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I want all of you to know out there that if you have the opportunity to go to a treatment center, I strongly advise you to. Another thing that I want you to know that if you have been in a treatment center, that was a gift. And I want you to use it because there are so many tools that you learned in that treatment center. You just have to use them and you have to believe in yourself. A treatment center is not going to cure you. It's going to help you to be on your journey. I was in the treatment center for approximately 8 weeks, and when I came out, I was doing great. But what I didn't realize is that I ended up shifting my addiction to alcohol to exercise. So I was so completely focused, I decided I was going to bodybuild. And that was one of the best experiences, I must say, that I've ever had in my entire life. But at that time, of course, I didn't realize that it was just another addiction. I quit drinking for approximately a year. Actually, it was a year to the date. And within that year that I quit drinking, I was in a controlled environment. I could control that environment about myself. I could control who was coming into my house, who was walking into my life. I no longer had friends that drank. Life was really, really good. But that year to the date that I started to drink again was when I was put into an uncontrolled environment. And there was all these feelings and emotions that came rushing back. And I didn't know what to do with them because when I was in the treatment center, I didn't know what triggers were, but I sure found out then. What had happened was I was at a wedding, a family wedding in New York City with my husband's side of the family. And this is the first time that I was with his family. And one thing that I always viewed myself with his family was that I was never, ever good enough because we are total attract, opposites attract. And what I mean by that is with my family, as you already know, there's addiction, there's abuse, there's mental illness. We struggled financially. We had a reputation which was not good. And of course, I ran from all of that. I had shame, lack of self-worth, didn't like myself, didn't graduate, looked like I was ugly, thought I was ugly. Where my husband's side of the family, you know, they're pillars of the community. They're full of love. They are all entrepreneurs. They're financially secure. Everybody likes them. They've got an amazing reputation. So when I became a part of that family, I didn't feel like I was good enough. So when we went to that wedding in New York City, all of these triggers and all of these emotions came back to me because I always viewed it as it was my husband, his family, the business, the children, and then me. I always felt that I was always bottom of the barrel. So when I was put in that environment which I could not control, all these feelings and emotions and abandonment issues, everything came rushing back and I couldn't handle it. And I didn't know that I was having anxiety. So what I ended up doing is I ended up drinking. And I ended up drinking in private for about 6 months. And then slowly I got my old ways back. I turned back into the old Shannon. All these resentments started to build up in me. I started to think about how much I disliked my brother, how much I resented my mother. And I also realized too how much I resented my husband as well, because I had let him walk all over me for all of those years. And I don't know, to be honest with you, if I was more angry with myself for letting him do that because I didn't have the strength to stick up for myself, or if it was just the fact that he had done that to me. But I also realized too that I wasn't strong enough to speak, and communication is the most important thing in any relationship. For those of you that don't have the communication, I strongly advise you to start speaking your truth. Because at the situation that I was in, I had nothing to lose. I might as well have started to speak my truth. So I drank then for approximately, I'm going to say, I think it was around a year and a half. And then it was on August 17th of 2019 was when I woke up. And that was the day that I said, I am never going to touch a drop of alcohol ever again. That was the day I really started to look at my life. And I realized then that I am the one that is control of my life. I'm the only one that can be in control of my life. And I'm looking at my children and I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't want them to be like me. I don't want them to grow up in an environment that I grew up in. And what was I doing? I was providing them that environment that I grew up in. I also looked at my side of the family, and we were in fourth generation of addiction. My father, me and my siblings, my nieces and nephews have addictions. And it's gone into my great nephews that have addictions now. And I'm looking at my children and I'm thinking, oh my God, like they could have addictions. My grandchildren, my great grandchildren, and the only one that can stop that cycle is me. So then that was when I was like, this is not happening anymore. And I can remember looking back, like as far back as 25 years. And I'm thinking, what used to make me happy? And what made me happy was listening to my mentors. And I don't know if any of you know who these people are that I'm going to talk about, but there was Dr. Wayne Dyer. There was Deepak Chopra, Louise Hay. There are so many spiritual advisors out there, even Tony Robbins. So back in the day when I was feeling so good and I wanted to bring amazing things into my life by manifesting or whatever it was, I would study them. I would read their books. I took courses of theirs in the past. And yeah, it is so easy to have all these great things come to you when you're in the most amazing vibration, right? And you're happy. But what I forgot and what I didn't realize is when I needed help the most and when I needed to talk to the heavens and the God and the universe was when I was at my lowest time in my life. So that's what I did. I started to study and I started to read and I started to take courses. And then the next thing you know, I decide there are so many people out there that are on the same journey as I am. I could actually start to see goals again. I was starting to heal. And I started putting videos and inspirational quotes out on Facebook every single day because now we're into COVID. And I can see how people are falling apart, how people are starting to lose their lives, how people are starting to drink uncontrollably and the abuse that's happening in the household because everything is on the rise statistically and we're hearing it all over the news. Next thing you know, I'm starting to get a following and people are complimenting me. And my followers and my friends on Facebook are like getting higher and higher and higher. And then I received a message from two individuals that were at the point that were going to end their life. And I received them by email and also by messenger. And they said, thank you for posting what you do every single day and doing your live videos, because this is what has changed and shifted how I am, because they want to live every day now. Because they are getting up every morning. And I would post by 6 a.m. every morning. And that was the first thing that they did. Was they would go to my Facebook page and they would see what I had written or my video or my quote, whatever it was. And that was a real pivotal moment for me because I was like, oh my God, I had no idea the impact that I had on these people. But at the same time, I knew that I was lying. I was lying to myself and I was lying to the whole world because everybody's following me on Facebook, but they're not realizing that I feel like a total and complete hypocrite. So what I did was I decided that I was going to do a live on Facebook. And I did that in January of 2021. And you can actually go to my Facebook page and you can scroll back. And the video is about 37 minutes. And I completely tell everybody my whole story. Because I could no longer hold that inside me anymore because people are looking at me and they're praising me. And I was so far from being praised. I did not need that. And I did not want that because I was just as screwed up as everybody else. They just didn't know that. And I needed to release and I needed to free myself. So on that video, I talk about everything. I talk about my abuse. I talk about my upbringing. I talk about my treatment center. I talk about me losing a child. I talk about the relationships that I had, which were not good. I tell everybody everything. There was over 700 people that had went on that live and watched me. And I'll tell you, that was one of the scariest moments in my life, but at the same time, it was the most freeing moments of my life. And then what had taken place was more and more people were coming to me after I had done that live. And they said, Shannon, thank you for sharing your story. And then they were starting to share their truths with me as well. Then that was when I came up with the idea that I was going to write a book. And the book that I wrote, the title is called How in the Hell Did I Get Here? Forever Changing the Genetic Blueprint. And the reason I had titled it, How in the Hell Did I Get Here? Because so many of us wake up at one point or another in our life and we think, how in the hell did I get here? And then we reflect back and we're at a crossroads. And I've been at so many crossroads in my life. And the subtitle, Forever Changing the Genetic Blueprint, because I was going to change that genetic blueprint and it was going to stop with me. And when I wrote that book wasn't meant for me. It was actually meant to help all those others out there. That if they were going through that same situation that I had been going through, all I wanted to do was help. That's all I wanted to do was help. So the first part of my book is all about my whole life journey, everything. It's real and it's raw and I do not leave anything out. And the second part of my book is how I started to heal and what I did. And I talk openly and freely. And my book isn't just about addiction. There's so many situations that we have all gone through, people pleasing, being chameleons. We all have those tumultuous relationships with our in-laws or whatever it is. And I talk about all of it within that book. So really, it's kind of like a guide as well. Then what I did after that is I decided I was going to do a podcast, which is called Fulfillment in Faith. And that was to promote my book. But then I had a real pivotal moment in my life where I was at a crossroads once again, and I felt so extremely lonely. And I came to a realization that what I go through in my life and all my experiences are actually a gift from God. And with those gifts, I need to embrace those gifts. And I need to start sharing those times of my life. Because we are not the only one. So in that podcast, I'm doing my passion project, which I speak to people all over the world, how they share their stories of their pivotal moments and where they are now and what they've learned. And I am now a mindset and manifesting coach, and I work on transforming people's lives. And I have the most beautiful, beautiful life ever. I'm a motivational speaker as well. And I am in the process that I am going to go on the world stage of being a TED Talk. And I just want everybody to know out there that if you're in a place in your life right now that you don't want to be, there are so many other avenues that you can reach out to. And I am one of those avenues because I have suffered in so many areas of my life, but I was the one that chose to change my life. I was the one that decided that I had to make the move but I also had to be willing and open to receive help from other people. So I want all of you out there to know that you are not the only one. And the biggest advice that I could give people is to start to have faith and belief in yourself. I believe in having faith so strongly that I actually tattooed it on me. Fulfillment in faith. Because if you have faith in who you are, you will have fulfillment in every area of your life. I was a woman back, how many years ago now? I was going to end my life. And now I am at the most vibrant, happiest time of my life. I've got abundance in every area of my life. And all I can say is you can do it too. You just need to reach out, whether it be me or whether it be somebody out there close to you. But once you make that decision to better yourself, the universe will bring it to you. You just have to be open to receive it. And those are my final words. And I hope that you follow my advice. And I hope that you open up your heart. And I want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity, for being a part of your journey. And I love you, and I send all of you blessings.
There's a lot of things that we have in store for you all. There are going to be retreats happening. There are going to be workshops. There are going to there's going to be mentorship happening as well. So just make sure you stay tuned. Make sure that you are plugging in and just sharing this platform with other women with vision who are in business, who are deciding to not look back. And just thank you for the individuals, the support that I get online and offline. I appreciate you all, and thank you.